She did not scream when the chains cut into her wrists. She did not cry when the cold wind burned her skin raw. She only whispered 3 broken English words, words that haunted everyone who heard them. My skin hurt. In the ruins of Nazi Germany, as the war collapsed around her, a young German woman, once taught to fear Americans as monsters, stood shackled as a prisoner of war. Her hands were swollen, purple, and dying. Infection crept beneath her skin. Frostbite had already claimed sensation. Doctors said amputation was inevitable, but what happened next would shock her, confuse her, and forever change how she understood her enemy. This is not a story about bullets or bombs. This is a story about mercy, found in the middle of hell. A world falling apart. Germany, spring 1945. The Third Reich was dying, not with honor, not with order, but with chaos. Cities lay flattened. Roads were rivers of refugees. Children wandered without parents. Women carried everything they owned in blankets and broken suitcases. She was one of them. Her name has been lost to history, but her suffering has not. She was not a soldier. She had never fired a weapon. She had worked in a factory, sewing uniforms, patching coats, doing what women were ordered to do for the war machine. As Allied forces advanced, the factory shut down. Food vanished. Fear replaced routine. When the town fell, panic ruled. Some fled, some hid. Some were accused, sometimes falsely, of aiding resistance or enemy movements. She was captured in the confusion. Her wrists were bound with metal cuffs. Not gently, not adjusted. They were clamped tight, cold steel biting into flesh already cracked from winter. Hours turned into days. Her hands began to swell. The pain without a voice. The pain was not sharp at first. It was dull, heavy, a pressure like her skin was being stretched from the inside. Then came the numbness. Then the burning. Her fingers turned blue, purple, almost black. She tried to explain, but her English was poor, her German useless to her captors. She pointed. She winced. She whispered. No one understood. Or perhaps no one cared yet. To her, Americans were supposed to be cruel. That is what she had been told her whole life. That they would laugh. That they would harm. That mercy was weakness. So when the pain became unbearable, she did not beg. She endured. Because endurance, she believed, was all she had left. The medic who stopped. The convoy stopped near a temporary Allied camp. One American Army medic noticed her hands. He froze. The swelling was severe. Skin stretched tight like overfilled gloves. Purple streaks crawled up her forearms. Infection had already set in. This was not normal POW processing. This was life and death. The medic knelt in front of her. He spoke gently, slowly, using gestures more than words. She flinched when he touched her wrists. And then she whispered it again, voice trembling, confused, afraid. My skin hurt. Those 3 words cut through every language barrier. If we wait, she loses them. Doctors were called. The verdict was grim. Blood flow had been restricted too long. The cuffs had acted like tourniquets. Tissue damage was severe. Infection was spreading. Frostbite had compounded everything. One doctor said quietly, if we wait, she loses both hands. Amputation was common in war medicine. Quick, brutal, necessary. But one surgeon hesitated. She's young, he said. And this wasn't a battlefield wound. This was neglect. They made a decision. They would try to save her hands. Even if it took hours. Even if it took supplies meant for American soldiers. Even if she was technically the enemy. Terror on the operating table. She was terrified. She did not understand why she was being moved. Why the chains were removed. Why American hands now touched her gently. She expected pain. She expected punishment. Instead, they cleaned her wounds. Carefully, methodically. They cut away dead skin. Warmed her hands slowly to restore circulation. Painful, excruciating pain. She cried out. A nurse held her shoulder. It's helping, she said softly. Though the woman did not understand the words, only the tone. Hot tears rolled down her face. For the first time since her capture, someone was not hurting her on purpose. Part 6, a fight against time. Hours passed. Antibiotics, new precious, were administered. Her hands were wrapped, elevated, monitored constantly. Doctors argued quietly. Color began to return, slightly. A pulse, weak but present. They were winning. Not completely, not cleanly, but enough. Enough that the surgeon finally said the words no one expected. We might save them. The moment she realized. When she woke, her hands were still there. bandaged, swollen, aching, but alive. She stared at them in disbelief. An American medic noticed. He smiled, not proudly, just kindly. She did not know how to say thank you, so she cried. And for the first time since the war began, she cried not from fear but from relief. What mercy looks like in war. She would never fully regain strength. The damage was permanent. Scars remained for life. But she kept her hands. Hands that would later hold children. Hands that would cook, clean, work, and live. Hands that should have been lost to hatred. Years later, she would tell the story, not with bitterness, but with disbelief. They told us Americans were monsters, she said. But monsters don't save enemy hands. War teaches people how to hate. But sometimes, rarely, it reminds us how to be human. In a time when uniforms decided who deserved mercy, a group of U.S. Army medics chose compassion over convenience. Humanity over hatred. A woman who believed she would lose everything. Lost only her fear, and all it took to change her world were 3 broken words whispered through pain. My skin hurt.